Hello, this is Eve Christoph. I am an Ascension Integration coach. You can contact me at lovelifewitheve@gmail.com and I'll take you through this whole process. So let's talk about white male confidence. Yes, I'm going to make this video, controversial as it may be. People are going to be, you're going to be like, but the white men, they're entitled and they're privileged. They are overconfident. And I want to say that that is a cover up. That is just a cover for feeling lost underneath. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is give you 5 reasons why you're shaky in your confidence. And when you look at these reasons, it will change the foundation of your manhood. Okay? So first of all, let's just think about this. When was the last time you really felt safe? Like truly safe, truly free, truly lovable, right? All of these things have been sold to you as the idea of manhood. And each one of them makes you less free, less confident, less feeling like you're offering yourself self-love, because as you buy into each one of these lies, you're having to abuse yourself. When did boasting and bullying and the truck you drive become the idea of manhood? But when was it that the incarceration of people who threaten your interests became an idea of manhood? When was it that the battery of women and children became an idea of manhood? Because I'm so powerful, I show them who's in control. When did this happen, that you became, not you, but men, white men, became so lost in their identity? When did this identity crisis begin that would include numbing drugs as an idea of how to be a man, is to always be cool and calm with no emotions? When did it happen that just a lot of alcohol usage would be like the thing to live for? Why? When? What happened that this is the foundation in the United States that was sold to you as the bedrock of your manhood? Well, a high-paying job, a uniform to wear. That's more understandable because that's about survival, but still, it's not you, it's not your confidence. It doesn't give you the freedom to walk out the door if you don't like your job or your boss, because you have confidence and you have self-love and you have a manhood that is free and supported by the divine. You can leave a job at any time if you have that kind of confidence, right? But what happened was these things. Now I'm just going to give you 5 things, and they're the main things, I believe. I'm sure there's many more. But let's just look at these 5 things, and if you'll stick with this video till the end, and then address these 5 things in your life by switching it up, switching it around in your belief system, you will begin a whole new relationship with yourself and your confidence as a man. Okay, the first, now I'm talking to white men because these problems I'm bringing up are mainly were in our history of European history. These are some of the things that happened to you from your ancestry back, okay? Whew, okay, so one of the very first things was that the church, way back, we were pagans. We were in Ireland, France, all over. We loved nature. We were in tune with nature. We had a powerful connection with the rain, the lightning, the wind, the earth, the magic, earth magic, the fire, the sun. And we could relate with these elements in a very primal way, that we knew that they were living entities that were providing for us, and we could master them in a certain way of being friends with fire, you know? What man now even knows how to make a fire without matches and paper? We did it without matches and paper. We mastered fire. So the very first thing is that we were divorced. You were made to be divorced from your paganism, which meant mainly destruction of the women. Because the women were the leaders of the paganism. The women were deeply in tune with natural cycles because of our bleeding and our relationship with the moon and our herbalism. The Inquisition came in, the church came in, and it, first of all, it demonized sexuality. All the women's sexuality. So this is actually 1 and 2. Okay, so 1 was the demonization of sexuality, which meant the men were split within themselves. They were told it's evil, the woman is evil, she's the path to being a lost soul, and you'll never make it to God because that woman led you astray to the devil through your temptation into her pleasures. Okay, so then now the man is split within himself. Of course he loves women, of course he loves sexuality, of course it gives him great pleasure, and when he makes love with his woman, he feels whole, and he feels, loved, and he feels alive. So you divorce him from that, right? Now, where's his manhood? If he's divorced from his cock, where's the manhood supposed to reside? Number 1. Number 2, in the Inquisition, coming in to try to dominate the men completely, the way they could do it to get the men follow these leaders and give them their money and their allegiance to these kings, well, you had to get rid of the healer women, because the medicine women were so powerful, they were so loving, they were the ones able to heal all the diseases and set bones and set people's spirits right and do depossessions, even soul retrievals, and address people's hearts. So there's no way to dominate the men, the kings, to get the full allegiance of the men until you take away the powerful women who are so revered and so respected, and people have so much awe for them back then. So the Inquisition set about over 700 years and killed 6 million women. Now, this is the women who were sexy, the women who were in their power, these women who knew themselves, these women who loved themselves, these women who were dancers, singers, drummers, healers, shamans, beautiful women who were really, really, really powerfully loving, right? So when you kill that many of them, whatever women are remaining get the message very strong, and so do the men. Everything feminine is bad. Everything feminine is so dangerous that I could die, my children could die, because when they killed the witches, the healer women, they also killed their children and often their husbands, so that they could just wipe out the whole line of that kind of medicine knowing. Now, these are the women and mothers that would have told you you are lovable, that would have shown you by her self-love the image of how to love a woman and how a woman loves a man. It comes through a woman who loves herself, loves her son in this way that transfers to him his power and his inner feminine. It awakens his inner feminine, which is the key to his powerful manhood. He's got to be able to feel. He's got to be able to dance and sing and laugh and let go, right? But those women, 6 million women, so now it's like Salem, Massachusetts. There's a museum all about it, right? It's really, really sick. Burned at the stake. Everybody's standing around watching the women, and the women surviving, going, okay, to survive, I'm going to be a leader of the church. I'm going to be just like a man. I'm going to become materialistic, all about the roof and the food and rules and order and discipline like a man, because everything feminine is evil. So now you have these women who cannot help you find your confidence in your self-knowing, because they don't have self-confidence. They have self-hate at the basis of who, how, and how they're living without the feminine. Let's talk about mysticism. Let's talk about artistic creativity, wild freedom. Let's talk about feminine intuition, feelings, emotions, tears, flowing, not being in everything, chaos, a little bit of wild chaos, freedom, not having security in terms of outer security, inner security, where she can walk out into nature and find some berries and find the plants she knows will feed the family or heal, or she knows how to hunt. She's in this wild feminine, but when that's all gone, now she's in the masculine. She's got to control. She's got to control you, her son, her husband, herself, at all times herself. Okay, so those are the first two main ones. Now, let's talk about number 3 for you. What happened to you? When did you become so lost? Okay, no rite of passage at all for you. No vision quest, nothing. Where was the transfer between becoming, from a young rebellious teenager into becoming a man? Where was that threshold? Now, probably for you, it was when you became a father. And if you took responsibility for your children, you actually did start to become a man, and you didn't even know it was happening. But you didn't get the benefits of a ritual where the healing tribe comes around you and hears your visions from the mountain about who you are. And they acknowledge your soul path. These ancient rituals, these tribal rituals of rite of passage and vision quest, were where and how the masculine found his self-confidence and his safety in the world, because he became aligned with spiritual helpers, power animals, and the forces of nature. In those vision quests, he would be making fires, learning about making fires on his own, and foraging in the forest, and living all on his own in the woods for days on end with no water, aligning himself with a powerful spirituality that becomes the bedrock of anything he wants to do. So he's no longer dependent on other men and other women to approve of him and give him handouts for the rest of his life. So that's a robbery, not to have a rite of passage as a man. Let's talk about number 4. Number 4, when we lost paganism, and we became so focused in our churches on this upper God, this one God to focus on, we lost touch with our ancestors. Ancestor worship goes back through traditions all over the world. And what it means is you give offerings, you give prayers, you have conversations with ancestors. And that medicine work, that transference of gratitude for the life we have now is all because of those ancestors, right? That helps them in the other realms to go to their next level, to go to their next powerful incarnation. But now everybody's forgotten the ancestors. There's barely even a funeral. People aren't even allowed to cry. And we're talking white culture, okay? We're talking Western white culture, especially the United States. So I'm sure like there's other cultures that are semi-white that are much more in touch, but let's just talk United States mainly. This dullness over death. Nobody knows what to say or do. It's embarrassing. You're not allowed to talk about it. You can't cry. There's no wake. There's no like 5 days of sitting with the body while you cry and people come over with flowers and tears and stories. What happened to that? No, the body's taken away. It's instantly gone. There's no grieving place for grieving. No place for grieving. So the ancestor libations that we used to do, we used to give so much to our ancestors regularly: roses, flowers, tobacco, alcohol, a conversation, yearly, a whole feast. At least Mexico knows this. There's the Day of the Dead. They haven't lost this. All the cemeteries in Mexico are full of the families, with picnics for the spirits on the other side. And it's so interesting because the masculinity in Mexico is so intact. I mean, yes, there's some terrible alcoholism as there is in every country, but the macho masculinity, it's not actually toxic masculinity most of the time, except for when it's linked to alcohol or oppression of women. Okay, that's always toxic. But most of the time for the Hispanic man, his masculinity is connected to family. It's connected to fathering his family, big family, like the value of family and being there for family, with family. Okay, unlike the white American man who tries to ditch family as much as he can. Okay, So that's a little bit of generalization. I'm sorry about that. But mainly we're just talking about ancestor libations. So when you don't give any ancestor libations, what happens is the ancestors hang around you and they wait for moments where they can take food and drink from you. And the way they can do that is when you start to vacate, when you're exhausted, when you drink too much, your spirit leaves, part of you leaves, or when you're in a big trauma and you just want to vacate your life, now ancestors can come in and possess you enough to get their libations. Have you ever noticed that sometimes a person you know, or even you, is two different people, the opposite? You're one person and then you start drinking and you're a totally different person? That's because you just got possessed by an ancestor wanting their libations. This is the divorce from our ancient paganism, or just being in touch with our spiritual basics of being a human being, that we are not just physical, we are also very spiritual, and our souls travel on, and we have ancestors to thank. Number 5, the very last one, okay, it's the disconnect from nature. And what happened is, somehow in this industrial revolution, they talked men into working all the time, overwork for your security. Stolen lives, basically, so that the men can't relax. They can't get down into the earth and plant things and go swimming and fishing and hiking. And if they do, it's just a couple days once in a while, but they've taken so much from you, so much of your time, telling you that you're going to have security at the end of it all when you're too old to enjoy it. When your youth has already been stolen, you will get this security. And by then, you'll need it, because you will not have developed a connection with nature. You will not know how to survive on your own, and you'll be weak. Whereas if you had lived a full, wild life in touch with God, Goddess, all that is supporting you, and how to contact the elements, the spiritual aspects of the elements, and allow them to empower you and co-create with God, Goddess, all that is, you wouldn't be needing so much in your old age, because you would already be creating so many different avenues of nurturance, ways of independence, exciting side businesses of your own. They're completely between you and your relationship with Creator. That's the power that was stolen from you. So that divorce from nature was also the divorce from actual spiritual God connection. So the God connection was replaced with religion and all these rules that suppress you, your sexuality, your freedom, everything, make you be a good man, obedient man, really obedient to society's norms, so that you will fit in and be a worthy citizen. Now, I believe in norms of society and caring about community and having a government that has good laws. I'm not against all that. But if you had more time off, like people in Italy do, way many more days off than you have. I mean, they've even got 8 weeks paid vacation on top of many days off, on top of 2 hours in the middle of the day to go home and have lunch, and much higher pay than you. This means that you have time to connect with nature and woman and sexuality and God. Spirituality becomes this thing that's about pleasure. How much pleasure can life be filled with? How much love and joy can you accept and engender in others and amplify? But you're just so busy. So much of you has been bought and sold by the idea that you should have this truck and you should have this mortgage and you should have your pension, that you don't have, you're just replenishing your base.